in my cipher, I revolve around scientists.
Alright, yo, peace to the gods and the earth. We out here in Victory Law now, in Van City, you know, with the gods, God Divine Islam Allah, God Knowledge One Allah. You know what I'm saying? These are my brothers. You know what I'm saying? We here to God our power. You know what I mean? Yeah, so we just gonna add on with the day's mathematics, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna start off with the young God. So yo, peace God, how you see the day's math?
Yo, peace. So I come in the name of I Power Allah. So today's mathematics is wisdom, knowledge, all being born to understanding. Wisdom is how we manifest the thoughts of our mind, and we manifest the thoughts through either our words, you know, our ways, our actions, you know what I'm saying? And knowledge is the foundation of all things, which is your mind, you know, thinking thoughts and just being aware, you know, and awareness, right? So with that being said, the things that you do gotta be in accordance with the things that you know. That's how you know what I mean? That's the proper way of dealing with things, you know what I'm saying? If you were to think, or if you were to act and do certain things or say something that you don't know, you know what I mean? That could lead to like a misunderstanding now, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, you know, everything gotta be in accordance with mathematics. And mathematics is knowledge, foundation, and then moving forward with wisdom, you know? So today's mathematics, I look at that and I think about, yo, you gotta move in accordance with mathematics, you know what I mean? Because if you don't, then, and your wisdom, and you speak some stuff, or you act in a certain way without knowing, then that might not be the right way to go. So that's how I see that.
Peace. You know, say one of the gods can add on how to see the day's math?
Well, if you want to add on wisdom, knowledge, all you want to understand it. You know, you always hear, put your knowledge before the wisdom, put your knowledge before the wisdom. Don't make it wisdom knowledge. You know what I'm saying? As if wisdom knowledge is backwards. The universe is not up or down, left or right. There ain't no backwards. It's just indeed. You know what I'm saying? What's important about that is you get caught up in that, and then, you know, you have some brothers talking about they got bad days because it's wisdom knowledge.
What if somebody got bad?
You got some brothers talking about they have a bad day because it's wisdom knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not knowledge before wisdom. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just want to just bring to light, like, there's no up or down, there's no backwards, anything of the sort. You understand what I'm saying? When you're dealing with the U and I verse. Also, we deal with the U and I verse, you're dealing with everything. Since the universe is expanding all the time, every single time, we deal with everything within that. There's a difference between everything and all things. When you're dealing with you and I verse all, you're dealing with everything that's within the cipher, all within the cipher. Because everything would mean each and everything. That's why you and I verse all, not you and I verse everything, or you and I verse every. So we look at it.
Peace to God. And boy, who you be, God? Just use the camera?
It's knowledge born, brother.
Yeah, peace to God.
So for the self, so you're saying the universe is everything, but not all things.
When we dealing with you and I verse all, we
You
dealing
and I
with
verse all.
everything with all within the cipher. Because right now we build about the knowledge itself in this cipher. We aren't talking about nothing else. Everything with me, we bringing everything into this cipher. But we just bring all things into the cipher. Like the all in all, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Peace. How you see it, Divine?
Peace. Divine Islam Allah. I see wisdom knowledge as you and I verse as opposition, you know, struggle. Like from the moment that you're born physically, you're facing struggle. You're growing, you're basically dying from the moment that you're born physically, you know. Things are deteriorating. And in life, there's always opposition. From the moment that the universe has movement, there's opposition, there's friction, you know. So I see it as in life, all that friction, everything we create, we have to understand it, that it really comes from us, that we're the ones who create this, you know, more or less to show and prove who we are. And then we can make something weak and wicked, make a weak and wicked condition, make a weak and wicked existence and overcome it. And in the long run, cherish that as what we call experience or what we call wisdom later in life, you know? And when you look at the founder of the Only Like Attracts and the Life Repels, it was the original man who decided to make something weak and wicked. you know, that we would all eventually have to face and overcome or succumb to, you know, depending on the individual in the situation, you know. So I see that wisdom knowledge that you and I verse as that opposition, and it's in every aspect of life. Like it's, you know, it's gaining strength, you know, like physical exercise, you know, is literally gaining strength. You're opposing a weight so that you could overcome it and become greater, you know. So I just see wisdom knowledge, like the God was saying, it's not backwards, it's not out of order or out of alignment. It's a natural process in mathematics and in the process of getting from knowledge to going. You have to go through that chaos. You got to go through that when everything seems upside down, when life don't work, when you're broke, when you're down on your last, and you know, when everything is rock bottom and you're just like, man, this is it. You know, that's part of that whole wisdom knowledge, that you got to go through that experience to get that wisdom, you know, and get to that understanding, which is the experience that you have later when you look back and you're like, I've been through the situation already. I know how this goes, you know. And that's the beauty of the lessons, and knowing the lessons and knowing, you know, who was the founder of Unlike Attracts and Unlike Repels, because you already know the answer. So while you're living it out, it's just about you just playing your role and just going through it, you know, because you already wrote the script, you know, not in a mysterious way, like you wrote it on your soul and your DNA. So it's just about carrying it out. Now you just go through that rough patch and just know that the understanding is right over the horizon, you know, which is just the universe, which is constant expansion, constant growth, you know, constant life, you know. And that's just how I see wisdom knowledge all being more understanding. Peace.
Peace. Yeah, peace to the gods, man. You know, wisdom knowledge, you know, just gonna add on real quick, you know what I mean? Like the God said, it's the order of mathematics. When you're doing the knowledge first, you know what I'm saying, and then you do the wisdom after, is also the order of mathematics. Wisdom knowledge just comes after knowledge wisdom. You see what I'm saying? After you've done the knowledge to the wisdom, then you gotta experience it and experience that knowledge in order to understand it and live it out, which is the culture. You see what I'm saying? So just understand that knowledge comes first. You know what I'm saying? Then comes wisdom, then comes understanding. You know what I mean? And whenever you're doing wisdom knowledge first, like that's the first thing that you decided to do before you do the knowledge, that's when it's backwards. You know what I'm saying? When you decide to do the wisdom before the knowledge. You know what I mean?
Or just do something stupid, because then it's like, it's not wisdom knowledge. It's like, you know what I mean? Fuckery knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you do some fuckery and you got to do the knowledge to that to gain the understanding. So I'm saying, so not sometimes the understanding isn't always gained through you just doing the wisest thing, and then you're like, okay, did this, because that would be ideal, but like mathematics, you deal within reality. So it's like sometimes you fuck up, you know what I mean? So it's like, the way I see that dealing with mathematics, it's not wisdom. You're not gonna call that wisdom because it's not a wise action, you know. It's stupid, you know what I mean? So that's what I was more getting at when I was more talking about wisdom knowledge, as far as like what the principle represents is just action and the manifestation of something, right? And then what knowledge represents is just awareness, which is more how we should be dealing with all things, you know what I mean, before we go into anything. But the only reason why I even brought it up like that too, why it's so significant, is just me being a young God, right? And just dealing with other younger brothers, right? You see, like, the reason why knowledge and awareness is so important as a foundation, because we have people who is living and they're going through their day-by-day existence without a certain awareness of themselves. So they just going through life. They're not aware of what's going on a higher level. So certain things is happening to them, and when they see it happening, they don't understand how that came to be. You know what I mean? So it's like they come somewhere and they're like, oh man, they don't even know how they originated there. They didn't even know how they got their own origin or how they got to that situation. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for somebody to deal with somebody now, like one of the gods, and then someone says like, yo, peep it, there's a mathematical way that you can break down the universe, because it's all mathematics. Check it out. Knowledge is the foundation. And then boom, that's going to result in all your actions. Someone who's just living their life, but it's not thinking, because that's an abstract thing. You know what I mean? We can see mathematics in reality, but it's like, you know, these are concepts, you know. So for someone to be aware of these concepts now, they're gonna be able to be like, oh shit. Now they can be able to detect when they were putting their actions before, you know what I mean? Before thinking and be able to reverse it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's important for you to be able to know that, okay, like, knowledge, like, you know what I mean? With wisdom knowledge, when I'm breaking it down, it's like it's important for you to understand that there's actions and there's knowledge and there's a certain, you know what I mean, way to put it down. So that's what I draw up when I reflect on that. And that's what I should do.
See, I don't that because see, wisdom is not necessarily wise actions or wise words. It's wise, comma, words, comma, actions, comma. It's when you're talking about an action of something, you're talking about the wisdom of something. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that there's a wise act being done. You're just talking about the action of it. You may talk about something wise, or you may talk about some words, but the words you may hear may not be wise words. You're talking about the wisdom of someone's mouth. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Because now we're not going to place a good or bad. It's another thing too. It's like the universe doesn't recognize good or bad. It just be. It just be in existence. It doesn't recognize.
Would you say it recognizes positive and negative?
Positive and negative is limited to the person.
That's what I was.
Because what's positive to you be negative to me.
True indeed.
So that's only to the person. You get mad at your woman, she cheats on you. You get mad at her because that's your problem. You got a problem with it. She didn't have a problem with it. That's your problem. It's your limitation that you're putting on whatever it is that you got a problem with. Okay.
Basically, what you're saying is like you have different ecosystems in the earth. You have certain animals now that live and breathe and take in certain things to live. Where it's like if it was to put another animal in that certain situation, it'll die. You know what I mean? So certain things is just the principle that certain things is good for certain things, certain people, and certain things is not.
And like I said, good or bad.
So that would be relative to each thing, organism.
We can talk about semantics.
It's more relative.
To each organism in that regard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true indeed. I see that. I don't see positive and negative as good and bad either. Positive is a positive charge, negative is a negative charge. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I was asking about the universe, because I know the universe is based on, you already know, positive and negative. You know what I mean? Darkness and light. You know what I'm saying? All these concepts. You know what I'm saying?
What do you call that when it's together?
Yang.
What do you call that when it's together?
When it's together?
Yeah.
What? When positive and negative become one?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Balance.
Blackness.
Balance. Yeah, I see that as balance. Yeah.
It's the balance.
I call it yin yang. Yeah, same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, true indeed. Yeah, true
Those,
indeed.
both forces always exist. It's
Yeah.
build or destroy.
Right.
Build is not good and destroy bad,
not bad,
or
yeah.
vice versa, right? Because sometimes destruction is the only thing that can help in a certain situation, right?
Sure,
So yeah, it's like it's build and destroy. It's those same polarities, but you couldn't say one is good and one is bad,
Sure,
you know. And then that's like you said, it's for the person. Like what's good for me or what's beneficial for me might not be beneficial for someone else, right? So that's also like the perspective of the individual, you know, which is the indivisible dual. It's two, but it's one that you can't divide, you know, which is every individual, you know. So you have times that is love, and you have times that's hell, you know. And you're gonna have both. If you're paying attention, you come out right, you know. If not, then you just continue in that cycle of love, hell, love, hell, love, hell, and paying attention comes out right. And I think that's what even when the Buddhists talk about achieving nirvana and getting out of the cycle, that's all they're trying to do. They're trying to get out of that cycle. They call it a cycle of reincarnation and just being born again, or whatever. The idea is to learn something and then get out of that cycle of just going through those cycles, you know, of love, hell, and wisdom knowledge is just part of that cycle. You know, it's the flip side, the side that might be uncomfortable to me as an individual, but is necessary for growth. You know, but you have to pay attention through the whole thing. So that's why the knowledge is the key and all of that, because you have to be paying attention. You got to be doing the knowledge to see what lessons.
Flip it.
Yeah, what lessons am I getting from this hell?